Hello and welcome to another side play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Khemia. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game, but not get the news version earlier, at least have this recording because they don't have an early access thing, you can still go to their Patreon and give them monies. So, nonetheless, let's play the ship game. And then we got into the ship and flew off into space, where we immediately got spacesick because we've never been on a spaceship before, at least one with windows. And then we put on our wolven, what would it be? Not facade, but basically like a steel face to be like, we're completely fine, we're not being sick, we don't need help, which kind of put our friend and maybe lover, nephew off. Because he's like, wolven pride. But now we were walking through the halls and ran into Brunus. Or specifically ran into a stuff that he was moving about, I guess? I don't know. So, reset face. And begin. Skip, what the hell are you doing? May irritation and self-pity from our only amplified now? May irritation and self-pity from our only net amplified now. Okay. Sometimes I put like, that might not be a typo, but that's a typo. Boop. Where's the game? There it is. I get to my feet roughly, likely flashing Brunus with my undergarments, as I don't bother trying to keep my rope down. He's the type not to care anyway. Is leaving your belongings out for others to injure themselves on a normal Khemian custom? Brunus blinks at me. Brunus. Because I think Brutus, but no, it's Brunus. Probably due to the fact that he's never seen me act like this. Huh? I'm moving my stuff right now. Is it a wolf thing not to look where you're going? I'm simply curious as to whether or not I should be more careful around you Khemians, especially if I want to return it to Adastra in one piece. What the hell crawled up your ass, Skip? I sigh and massage the bridge of my snout with both paws, feel my stomach lurch again, exacerbated by my falling. I have to admit that Brunus's techniques for de-escalating tense situations, despite seeming informal and unrefined, are disarming. I don't know, Brunus. Ahem? Could I get an anti-emetic, please? Is that what you call it? Certainly. A drone has been dispatched to your location. Speaking of which, I just had to deal with nephew biting my head off for being fat. I turned my attention back to Brunus. Speaking of which, what do you mean by that? Speaking of things up your, crap. Brunus winces. You guys are kinda uptight about that sort of thing, aren't you? I didn't mean it like that. You could have been up his ass for all I waved my paw, providing an escape for the flustered Wolverine. The anger I had felt already began to dissipate. It's difficult to be mad at Brunus anyways. Yes, uptight. Anyway, I'm sorry I snapped at you. I'm just not feeling well. Yeah, looks like he ain't. Brunus watches as I'm suddenly distracted by the smooth, glossy black dome that levitates towards me, then extends a tiny white wafer. I take it with some confusion. Thanks. Do I need water, or... Goes under the tongue. I try not to visibly blanch at the idea of letting vile medication sit in my mouth for any amount of time, but quick relief is preferable, assuming it works as quickly as Nefri said. Or, if it even works after the nausea set in. I hear that's a thing that, like, anti-nausea medication doesn't work if you're already nauseated. Sorry, give me a sec. Alright. Anyway, what were you saying about Nefri being upset? Does he actually usually criticize your size? I carefully drop the square wafer under my tongue, hardly feeling it land before I close my mouth and it dissolves instantly. Oh no, it's acid! Bruna shrugs. I've never done that. I don't think I would want to. Not really. I was in the hall bringing stuff in, and he told me to move and not take up the entire space, or something. He scurried off before I could ask what crawled up his ass. You two fighting or something? Brunus looks at me, waiting for a response. I point at my mouth to remind him that of the medication while being simultaneously glad I have an excuse not to respond. Oh, you can swallow it now. It's made of some weird nanotech stuff that makes you absorb it like a few seconds, or in like. Though Brunus doesn't sound like he knows what he's talking about, he's definitely right. The nausea is almost instantaneously gone, and I'm glad for his Khemian nanotech. You swallowed nanomachine, son. Are you gonna become the governor or whatever? The congressman? You know, from Metal Gear Solid. I expect the taste to be better and accurate, but instead it's slightly sweet, almost non-existent. Fascinating. I say to myself, never having had an anti-emetic that worked after the fact, though Brunus responds with a face of disgust. I'd rather feel sick than take that shit. Makes me feel slow as hell all day. Pap takes care of the motion sickness, while all my other problems too. The Wolverine looks down at the large crates. By the way, you're rooming with me. Already pushed your stuff in. I take a look around Brunus to peer inside of the small room with 2 beds on either side, one of which already has 2 identical metal crates next to it. Here's the thing, like, would you really need a bed for like a 12-hour trip? I mean, I guess in fancy places like, I don't know, first class or business class on airplanes, the chairs turn into beds. Oh, thank you, Brunus. It makes me feel guilty knowing that he had hauled my belongings in first, only for me to yell at him. Sure, don't know why they dropped all our shit here instead of in the actual room though. Yo, ahem. It's silent for a moment, and I wonder if Brunus failed to summon the attendant, but then I remember how it works. Get me some pap. They destroyed my stash on Adastra. Brunus gives me a knowing look. Probably destroyed by that asshole magistrate. I bet he's high off his ass right now. For the sake of Ahotep. I'm confused by the sudden change in tone, then I realize he's responding to something Aham said. I suppose there are downsides to having a computer assistant only you can hear. You want me to list everything? Headache, backache, stomachache, heartache. Yeah, great, thanks. It especially helps with the heartache. Brunus turns his attention back to me, and I look down at one of the crates. Normally, it would be levitating slightly off the ground through the use of magnets, though I suppose the floor here is not compatible. Here, I'll push these ones aside. It sounds like you're in a great deal of pain. Brunus shrugs. I'll live. You just gotta give Aham enough reasons to justify dealing it out. I don't mind you helping though. I grunt as I slide one of the crates across the floor, wishing that it at least had wheels. Isn't drug usage free and plentiful on Khemia? Brunus makes a snoring sound. That's what they tell you in wolf school? Oh god, now I'm just thinking about my parents being like, yeah, they just give free PCP to kids or something these days in school. His knowing, condescending tone might have irritated me, but I know Brunus doesn't mean for it to demean or hurt me. Unlike what Nefer just said, Nefer. Besides, Snyder remarks about wolves are something I'll probably hear regularly on Khemia. So this is a good opportunity to practice separating my emotions from my work. Well, not told, but shown footage of addicted Khemians in the streets of the capital. Propaganda. Is it not true though? It doesn't matter if it's true. What matters is that what they're using it for. Aside to let the topic go at a point, knowing that there's truth in what we both said. Also because it's difficult to continue walking under the strain of pushing a crate. Brunus gives a much louder grunt as he follows me into the room, pushing the last crate. Anyway, it doesn't seem like you're in a lot of pain. I come to a stop at the foot of what I assume is Brunus's bed, while the Wolverine follows shortly after. Phew, one sec. He stoops to catch his breath. If the aches flare up real bad, I just got a script from the palace doctor. No, I just get one. My slightly heavy breathing is dwarfed by the huffing and panting of the Wolverine as he leans heavily against the crate. I don't like them very much because not being able to feel pain is kind of scary to me, but like I said, it ain't bad. I can still walk. Bruno sits on the crate, his sizable rear covering most of it. Is it related to when you were injured? Yep, happened when I was real young though, so it feels normal to me. I wonder if he's gonna tell me what happened, but when he doesn't, I don't press further. Anyway, Pap helps a bit with that, but it's mostly mental shit, where it really does wonders for me. Keeps you sane, I think. Now, I think it's in this game, though I wonder if it's like now, like previous and they got rid of it, or later, because like I think there's this thing where it's like, hey, because the whole backstory of this guy, unless they change it, is like, yeah, well anyways, long and short of it is, the wolves are supposed to, be over the care of the Wolverines, but they didn't really do anything with them. So the Chemians took, parentalship, but siblingship over the Wolverines, because like Wolverines were of like not of the selected, like 8 or something. But then the wolves were like, wait, they're taking our territory? We must go to war for that. And then they did horrible war crimes against the Wolverines, the wolves, which one of them left him without an arm. Also, the Wolverine population decimated, so yeah, not good. Oh, how so? Did we read that last one? Sorry, I went on a tangent. Mostly meant, anyway, the pattern was mental shit. I try not to seem too interested. Even though we aren't on Adastra, the idea of psychoactive drug so readily is available is frightening. Well, I guess it kind of makes everything make a little more sense. Slow stuff down so we can think through it properly. It sounds rather nice. And what I like most about it is it makes emotions feel more meaningful, I guess. I don't know though. Never had to explain it before. Just feels good. I raise a brow. Doesn't that get in the way of your work? I know he smokes a pipe almost constantly, and while I can understand using it for leisure, I would be hesitant to alter my mind while doing important work on behalf of the parents. Well, that's the thing. I feel things better. It's easier to empathize, and that's important for diplomacy. I think I want to inquire more about emotions and diplomacy, but I'm also unsure if I should be discussing such matters with Brunus. I was told that he's highly skilled and experienced negotiator in Khemian politics, even graduated from Sci-Fi, the school Nefru had also gone to. I have to remember they're watching and observing too, and even if I'm the lowest ranking Adastran here, that could make me a target. I'm spared making the decision as a soundless drone floats into the cabin, this time extending a small black capsule about the size of my thumb. Brunus eyes it before plucking the capsule rather aggressively from the drone. Thanks, that'll last me half an hour. Anyway, yeah. Brunus uses a flicking motion with his thumb to open the tiny capsule. You shouldn't let personal feelings get in the way, but it's important to empathize with the side you're negotiating with. I watch him pack the strange pipe contraption for a while, the Wolverine handling the fleeky green concoction carefully as not to spill any of it. Can it help with distracting thoughts? I can't help myself from asking. I have for the most part, been able to keep myself in check for the better part of 2 years. But the past hour has left me feeling as if it's all about to fall apart. I realized then how desperate I am for some kind of solution, a fix for this dysfunctional brain of mine. I suppose my approach isn't subtle, however. Brunus leans back and eyes me closely, his pipe held in one paw. It might. It's different for everyone, but I know people that use it to focus. You doing okay, by the way? Definitely. As you know, it's very illegal to possess such substances on Adastra, so I'm simply curious about this part of Khemian culture. Brunus continues to study me, and I try to keep my paws from fidgeting by collapsing them together. Perhaps it doesn't matter, considering Nephru will likely tell Brunus about my issue anyway, despite his promise. Well, Pap is just a Khemian strain of Chromnoma, which is native to Amorpha. Amorpha? Kind of funny that it's banned on Adastra, when you guys borrowed so much from the cats. Bruna swings to me to line the jab, even though I'm too anxious at the idea of this plan to even really register it. Anyway, if you really are interested, I can take you to an Amorphin dispensary. The cats really know their shit when it comes to anything plant related, obviously. They got a bunch of stuff that might be better for you. Well, maybe I'll look at that one sometime. Brunus can clearly see that I'm interested, which only convinces me to back out of this odd, reckless attempts to fix myself. While I know that much of the education I received on the use of recreational drugs was simply state-sponsored propaganda, I still feel deeply uneasy about it. Using a drug to patch over mental deficiency like mine's simply feels unwise. Just as I'm about to head over to my side of the room, however, Brunus sticks the pipe out towards me. Want a puff? I know it's not a wolf thing, but it'd be rude of me not to offer. Never do drugs, not even once. You will become super addictive. Remember that commercial with the girl and the egg and the frying pan? This is your brain? That is true. I stared at the pipe for a second, my curiosity rekindled for just a moment before the words of my instructor in mindfulness comes to me. Meditation is key, Scipio. Alcohol only damages the self-awareness and self-control. Oh, I think I remembered they did say they reworked it. I think they remembered them saying at one point that it's like that the men in the game use alcohol alcohol's a man's way of dealing with emotions or something. Yeah. Woof. Don't do alcohol, kids. I assume he would say this about most drugs, especially those used for mind alteration. So I hold up a paw. I am tempted due to wanting to understand Khemian culture better, but I should avoid any psychoactive substances while on this mission. That's probably a good idea. It can be a hard one to predict if you've never had it. The big Wolverine ambles over to his own bed, sitting down with a heavy sigh, inhaling from his pipe, the room filling with that herbal smell before it quickly dissipates again. It must be the air filtration system vacuuming it away. So, what do wolves do for fun in a place where everything's illegal? Banging. But only in dance. I sit back, feeling a bit more sluggish now, probably due to the nausea medication. We have alcohol. Saying this reminds me of the time I asked my doctor for something to help cope with the anxiety 3 years ago. I especially remember his look of surprise and confusion before telling me that sedatives were a womanly medication and I should instead go buy some cheap drink instead. Okay, so they didn't take that away from the thing. It certainly felt manly, boldly drinking an entire mug of toxic tasting ale while my friends cheered me on. And it did help, at least until I began blacking out from drinking too much, and that frightened me away from it. Good for you. Uh, yeah, it's kind of funny. At some point in time, I never had blackouts, but then these days it's like, yeah, if I do have alcohol, it's quite often. And it's like, nope. Probably for the best. Yeah, it is for the best. Brunus makes a face. Bleh, not a fan of the stuff. Makes me sick and gives me a headache. I don't enjoy it anymore. I mainly partook to better match the mood of my friends on our nights off. Oh, I understand the feeling. And it tastes like shit. Sure, acquired taste and all, but it all tastes the same to me. Just different stage of shit. Yes, taste would probably make me vomit these days, but mostly I didn't like the feeling of having less control over myself. I've seen a few of my friends completely consumed by it, and it's a terrible thing. I wonder about one of them now. Gaius, who had gone from perfect marks at university to living on the streets. It had happened after losing his best friend in the riots, who was also a friend of mine. Spurius? I wonder if these names mean anything where it's like, those two are very close in, like, I don't know, Roman or Greek lore. My breath hitches, and I sit up straighter. Sorry, Brunus, but do you mind if I meditate? Oh, yeah, not at all. Do you, need me to leave? No, you're fine. Brunus nods and lies back on his bed, staring at the ceiling as he continues to smoke his pipe. I sit cross-legged on the foot of my bed, beginning with a familiar first step of focusing on my breathing. I listen to my breathing, and I feel the rise and fall of my torso. I smell the papoué, along with the slightly stale and metallic scent of the recycled air. I'm surprised by how I feel right now, as I could try more complex meditation without issue, but I don't care to do that without my instructor. Or don't dare. Nefru might know who or how. I feel my anxiety spike, but I quickly focus again. I'm here, in the moment, without judgment. Maybe I should try meditation. They pushed him out of the dormitory window, and he landed on his head, on the cobblestones. He was just trying to hide. Why would they do this? Why would anyone do this? Because they're mindless, uneducated scum. What else should we expect from those districts? I'm breathing. Remember, breathing. But I feel my mind wanting to leave, almost like it's levitating, being drawn towards something else. My eyes open, shocked. Shit, sorry. Tried to lift one of the crates on my bed, so I didn't have to bend over, and I dropped. Skip? I can't move, or speak. Everything appears strange, vivid, crisp. I can smell the assassin's blood and entrails again. The Ahawaii is going to stay with you forever, isn't it? A voice I've only heard in my dreams whispers directly in my ear. It's a real voice, not one that comes from my head or imagination. It's a rustling of dead leaves, rattling out of the throat of something ancient, something that knows me better than I know myself. I feel myself back in the den, to reach for the only escape I can, the feeling that was pulling at my mind earlier. Shit. I hear Brunus' panicked voice, but I'm also far too detached to even wonder about what he said, or why. I vaguely feel a jolt through my head and body, but that's it, and I feel nothing. This is what true peace feels like, Scipio, but even better, because you don't exist at all. Imagine a universe without life. How peaceful things would be then. Nothing. It's a perfect feeling. Sapients cannot be trusted, you included, Scipio. Remember how the cretin wolves treated you? Remember how the Khemians treat the wolves? Remember how Nefru treated you? And do you remember your true purpose here? how you're treating Nefru? I hate it. But most important, remember how the parents treat sapients in the name of agency. And yet, what choice do any of you have? You can hope those like you and all other sapients. I would if I could. You can. I have no idea how long it's been, but I feel back in my own mind. I'm even more confused about where I am. I wonder if I have died. Like old Biscus died. Maybe I fell and hit my head and died, like Spurius did. Or maybe our ship somehow crashed, and I've been left to float through space forever. Or for only a few more seconds before I suffocate. That would be alright, I decide, even as I take in a deep, easy breath of air. I'd rather feel this way, insignificant and meaningless against the monolithic oppression of the universe. It makes me feel oddly peaceful. My goodness, Scipio. If only your friends and colleagues could hear half of what you think. A deep but feminine voice comes from seemingly every direction. I look around, suddenly feeling as if I'm being spied upon, wondering if the directionless voice is from my own head. What? Those aren't my thoughts, though. There's a deep, raspy chuckle, one that I recognize as distinctly feline, the type I've heard from recordings from the involved Hindu tigers. Perhaps not, but do you not agree with them, young wolf? Who are you? Are you from Hindu? Very good, especially for wolf, living in a time where Hindu has severed relations with Adastra completely. Yep, it's her. Meera, I think? But can you guess who I actually am? Her eyes are so piercing, so intense, that though I want to ask again what exactly is happening, I feel obliged to answer. And so, I quickly run through my list of tigresses I know of, only one of which is alive, the current ruler of Hindu. Maharani? Arti? The tigress eyes me closely, so that I lower my ears, just wishing they could go back soon. Considering the impossibility of where you are, I think Arti would try to come. Wait, you think Artie would try to come all the way here to talk to some rebellious pup? I swallow hard, trying to keep my breathing even, because, whatever it is, I think that. Sorry again. That it's somehow real. But there could be an explanation. Are you Meera? Quiet smile on her face answers my question. Well, I suppose 2 attempts is not terrible, though I must say the human knew immediately. Which is kind of funny because we never met her on our thing, because, like, I can't remember what the paths are, but, like, the path I took had the good ending, but didn't lead to Meera, you know? Amicus is human? Yes. The voice of dead leaves is gone now, as is the feeling of nothingness, and embarrassed as I long to be back there, knowing the tigress knows what I'm thinking. Meera stays silent, though the look on her face tells me that she's waiting for me to speak. Are the parents doing this? Are they making contact with me? It's rumored that they did the same with the human. Meera is quiet for a while, so I stay quiet as well, unable to think of any other reason for this to be happening if it really is happening. The parents are a complex matter, Scipio. Direct communication with them is impossible, unless they break their own rules against interference. She narrows her eyes. Think more logically, though. Considering the voice, would the parents say such things to you? I answer honestly. I don't know. I try to think logically, as she told me to do. Maybe it's a test? Or maybe this is part of the plan? Do you know who it was? Was it you? Meera's quiet again, but it's more like she's pondering something. I cannot say for certain, Scipio, but what I do know is that you don't trust the parents. It sends a jolt of fear through me. I do. I just don't understand what the purpose of any of this is. The tiger chuckles again. Take comfort in the fact that it's no fault of your own. The parents plant all the seeds, after all. Why did you bring me here? Is there something that I'm supposed to do? Or maybe you have instructions? You brought yourself here, Scipio. The stretch drive makes the layers between planes more permeable. Would you believe that the parents physically stopped the human from killing... Would you believe that the parents physically stopped the human from killing Amicus while in the stretch? I didn't ever consider that. Though, oh, I guess we did shock him at the highest voltage. I don't know if I do, and I don't know what to say. Such agency they gifted us with, eh? Meera taps a finger to her head. The fear continues to rise with me, not wanting to anger the parents, and not wanting to be dead, because the amalgamation is where we truly go. You fear death. You fear the amalgamation. Rather, you feel it's an abomination. And deep down, though you will not admit it even to yourself. My fur bristles and I try to jolt myself awake, but nothing happens. Also, let me just see what this is right here. Oh. I don't know what's that. You do not trust the parents, or anyone for that matter. Am I going to be punished? They know I'm afraid. They know I'm a fraud. I can read. On a mission to further parents' agendas when I don't believe them to be right. I'm only here for selfish reasons. I believe disagreeing with their grand plan is one of the lesser troubling thoughts in your head. The lesser troubling thoughts? There's greater ones? You have enough hatred to set fire to those wolves yourself. You're capable of dark things, Scipio, but who wouldn't be after that day? I realize my legs are trembling, that I can at least feel them, and that gives me hope. Please wake up. Meera raises a paw. Easy, young wolf. I'm only here to help you, to warn, and to advise. You need guidance, and I'm here to offer it, if you will take it. I frown and rack my brain for lessons I had on Meera, if she was ever used in this manner in the past. Her main purpose was that of self-sacrifice, to push Dursus in the correct direction for the Empire. She has little to do with the parents. As far as I know, it is only the monitors that communicate for the parents. Does that mean that this is not sanctioned by the parents? Yes, and do not be afraid that you are not lockstep with their vision for the future. They've limited themselves by professing the importance of free will, choice without interference. I'm not afraid to admit that I disagree with them completely. I never entered the amalgamation as I believe is an attack on life, rather than preserving of it. Besides, they can't even agree with each other. They bicker just as much as the siblings. The Boris' odd, in-between worlds begin to shimmer and fade, and I realize it's ending. Wait, please. You say you did not have to go to the amalgamation? That you can help fix me? Can you tell me more of that voice? Please, don't leave me yet. Meera smiles at me, at my desperation, that I know must look insane. But I truly am desperate. This will not be the last time we speak. Trust that I will appear again when the time is right. This was merely an introduction. Okay. Thank you, Meera. And I think with that and being overtime and somebody kind of texted me, oh, it was a pleasure meeting you, Scipio. Until next time. But as I'm feeling the relief of escape, another voice adds their thoughts just as I'm leaving, one that I recognize. A higher pitched female, that of a jackal. Where do we go? Scipio. Where do we go? Scipio says this to Nefru. Nek am hotep ah. Interesting. But I'm gonna have to leave that cliffhanger for next time because I have somebody kind of messaging me. I should probably look at it. I have someone else messaging me, and stuff like that. It's just like, okay, yeah. So that's gonna be the end of this side play. So please comment, guys. Like, comment, something you like, dislike, tips, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and like Scipio, then please like, subscribe, and check out the rest of the group. Please remember to spay new animals to control the pit population. And until next time. Oh, if you want to play this game, it's free on itch.io, but if you want to support the people that make this game, they have Patreon. And until next time, me, GamerWolfSix, Khemia. So thanks and see you.